And then there were four more rehearsals to close out the day on Saturday, May 6th. Those countries are Bulgaria, Lithuania, Estonia, and Israel. Should we talk about it? Let's do this! Yes, it's been a long day, but this is going to be a short video. First up was Bulgaria in this final group. You guys, this is coming together very nicely. My main concern previously was these on-screen squiggles. They looked cartoony, very junior, but they have reworked them and now they shoot out of the right places. They look quite cool, actually, and they fit with the rest of this performance, which is very sophisticated, chic, sci-fi, and edgy. The white lines, those thin white lines, look so nice against the black backdrop. This isn't The Matrix. This is Kristian Kostov at Eurovision 2017.
Yeah, I think they've sorted out the majority of the issues. The staging is much more compelling right now. The camera work is sharper. The cartoons aren't as cartoony, but I think there's still a small little bit of Dami Eames syndrome where, remember last year she had her holograms and she was supposed to put her hand here and the hologram was over there, whereas Kristian has this movement where he kind of does his arms and there's a swoosh of the white squiggles, and he's not always in sync, but as we saw, that didn't do Dami Eames that much harm in the end. So I'm quite confident, and I'm more confident that he's heading back towards the top 3, whereas after the first rehearsal I was like, oh, this is going to stall in the top 10.
Yeah, there was a huge improvement just in terms of the cuts, and everything works up until about the second minute. And I was getting chills actually when I was in the arena when he first was on, and that was even without having to see the squiggles and everything that's put on in post. But after the second minute, it kind of just loses me. Like, it feels like they've stopped adding things to the song or something. There's a lot going on to begin with, and then they tone it down, but it just feels very sudden and abrupt, and I kind of left feeling like I want more. That being said, definitely really good. I do think he's back into top 5 contention after today, and it was really very good, and that voice on a 17-year-old is just incredible.
It looks expensive, the act, and he sounds amazing. Someone at some point sent me a nasty note saying, why are you always saying his voice is so good? Because it is. Yeah. It's really good, and he's filling this massive arena.
Especially good compared with the 3 we're about to talk to as well.
Yes! So on that note, we move on to Lithuania, Fusedmarc, Victoria. On the positive note, she seemed less angry today. So all the red, it didn't remind me of blood, it reminded me of passion, because she is emoting in a less aggressive way. She still needs to brush her hair, but hey, we all have flaws. You know, there's not much to add. This is exactly the same as last time. You see her backing vocalist dressed in black and her duet partner, you know, throwing their arms up in unison, adding a bit of life to her angry but moderated performance.
Yeah, there's not much to say, just that she wasn't as cross. She was cheered up a little bit. I don't know. I wonder what made her happier.
Happy pills.
Must have been, because there wasn't much positives from her first rehearsal to make her happy. But yeah, that was the main difference, that she didn't smile, but she didn't look like she was going to stab you.
She didn't like she was going to stab you because half the time she wasn't looking at the camera. I mean, seriously, there was an entire minute of one of the run-throughs where she was looking everywhere but a camera. And again, she's another one who was trying new vocal tricks and mixing things up this late in the game. And again, not a song that you can really afford to start messing around with things. No, I'm sorry, if this qualifies, then I genuinely don't know what the hell people are doing. The juries should rightfully put this last, because I'm completely over it at this point.
Yeah.
No.
All right, we move on to Estonia, and the biggest difference here is that Koit actually showed up. He matched Laura vocally. He managed to hit most of his cues this time, look at the correct cameras. When he's doing the cheesy Elvis face, he actually looked up at the right time. They sounded great. Laura had a few stumbles vocally, but they laughed it off. So they're having fun, which is a good sign going into the performance.
Yeah, because they were able to relax on stage and have that bit of chemistry that a lot of people said they didn't have at Isti Laul. The thing as well that bugs me a little bit is that you say that Koit has the Elvis impersonations, but he's a man who, if he wanted to, he could smoulder. And he's not smouldering, he's doing his Elvis impersonations. But at least he's doing them to the camera. Last time he was like looking anywhere else but the camera, so I don't know, the soundman was getting his Elvis look. At least we're getting it now. But if he could smoulder instead of having the cheesy, it's not quite a grin, but it's not something that makes you go, ooh.
Yeah, it's almost asexual in a way.
I mean, Laura struggled today, to be brutally honest about it. I mean, she completely fluffed the note in the final note of the bridge in the first run through. Then she decided instead of going up on the key change, she would go down on the key change, which doesn't quite fit the song. I mean, it's sensible, because if she's not going to hit it, you know, that's a case where if you know it's not working, then at least you're trying something. But again, Koit looked better. I liked actually the opening shot with Koit where it looked a little bit like Alina Bourne before. It now also shoots up the back towards the LED. So it's just like an entire, he's illuminated. And actually, yeah, Koit did improve considerably from where he was. I still think it's a qualifier, but if they still can't get everything right, because it seems like every time there's one problem, there's always something. It's either their chemistry or Koit or Laura. If they get it all together in time, then this is a threat for the top 10 maybe. But otherwise, I think it's going to struggle in the final.
You know what's strange is when I think about my top 5, it takes me a while, but I always end up putting this up there, but it's not instant. It's not instantaneous. Whereas other songs I can just say, I'm like, yeah, I love that one. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if I feel like I should love this, but the thing is, I always do end up putting on my list. It just kind of fades for some reason when I'm not listening to it. All right, last up today, closing the show and closing today was Israel, Imri, Ziv, or capital I, capital M, capital R, capital I, Imri. Look, he looked great. He thrust. His choreography was on point. He was in unison with his dancers. They do these simple moves. They nailed them. Vocally, he struggled, I think. Whenever he had to sing live, which was frequently, he was out of tune, and it just, maybe it's down to mixing. You're like, no. Yeah, I think they still need to iron that out, but they have time.
Yeah, the staging was still really good. It was literal in parts, because when he says breaking me to pieces, there's a big image of him behind him breaking to pieces. But yes, that note was quite painful. The press room kind of had shuddered in unison every time he tried to get it, and he missed. I think it might be wise if they kind of delegated that to a backing singer, because we've seen other acts do it, because Tamara does this big high note, but you will notice that her mouth is shut, so maybe Imri should follow suit.
She's amazing. How did she do that?
I mean, honestly, this is just bad at this point. At least they don't like the village people anymore, but Imri is just struggling. It feels like, and I don't, at least in the first run through, there were only a couple of times where I cringed horribly, but I actually, and this is going to sound horrible, I felt embarrassed for him, because he must know that he wasn't hitting those notes. And, you know, even in the Eurovision.tv little snippet that you can see, it sounds bad there. And every run through it was getting worse and worse, because obviously it's more vocal strain on him to keep having to do it. But maybe at some point he will hit it, but at the moment, and I feel really bad, you know, Israel in recently, like, I didn't like Golden Boy before the contest, liked it in the contest. Same with Hovey Star. I've gone from actually not minding Imri, but now he's just so far down for me. I do feel like this, what should be a guaranteed qualifier, being in last and up tempo, he's really at risk of not doing that, because not only will the juries dislike it, people at home will pick up on that and think, oh, I'm not going to vote for that.
Well, I think two things. Firstly, he pulls it off with aplomb. If you were to mute it and look, you'd be like, oh, he must be singing really well, because he looks really confident. A lot of the time when singers mess up, you can tell, because they kind of freeze and like, oh crap, what have I just done? But he keeps doing it, and he's smiling and he's smizing and he's doing everything right with his face. So if you had it on mute, you wouldn't know that there was anything wrong with the notes, because you're like, he looks like he's doing everything right. Secondly, one word, 2G. He qualified. He qualified. I'm not saying that that's a good example.
But in a worse semi-final.
But Imri looks better. Let's cut to the chase. Imri's looks will distract people from the occasionally dodgy note. And I think because it is so feel good, it stands out because it's an up-tempo club banger. We really don't have many of those. I think that will push him through, or at least I hope it will push him through, because I want this song in the final, because I know a lot of people who would love to hear a club banger in the final of Eurovision.
I think that if it did qualify, it would open the show probably in a Laura to sort of throw them to the walls kind of situation.
Which is great. It makes everyone want to sit down, pass the popcorn. In any case, that is what we think. What do you think of these final four? Do any of them have a shot of making the final? You can let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure to subscribe.
And please like and share the video.
And we'll see you later. Bye.